Of Montana Power, Touch America CEO Bob Gannon, who was born and bred in Montana.
Why do you think Bob Gannon and Goldman Sachs decided to go down this path, to get out of the energy business and into telecom?
He was tired of what he thought was a stodgy utility stock. He owned an awful lot of shares, and I think he wanted to be the Bill Gates of Montana. I think he wanted to get into a high-flyer situation where he could go to $100 a share instead of sit there at 30. With Sachs, Goldman Sachs, it was simply money.
It didn't take long before things started to unravel. No sooner had Montana Power sold its dams and power plants than deregulated electricity prices shot through the roof, and Pennsylvania Power and Light began selling its cheap Montana electricity out of state to the highest bidder. Electricity prices in Montana doubled, then redoubled, then doubled again. Refineries, lumber mills, and the last working copper mine in Butte were forced to suspend operations because they couldn't afford their electricity bills.
If we were to continue to run, we were faced with prices that were $150 to $600 a megawatt hour. In other words, 5 to 20 times what we were paying before.
Greg Stricker, a manager at the mine, says it cost nearly 350 people their jobs. But that was just the beginning. By getting out of utilities and into telecommunications, Montana Power, Touch America, had bought into the biggest stock market bubble in American history, just before it burst. It turns out there was a lot more fiber optic cable in the ground than there were emails and phone calls to travel on them. And the billions of dollars buried in the ground are now worth pennies on the dollar, just like the stock.
It seems counterintuitive, and I will say the word stupid, to sell off the business that you know that is generating an income for thousands of employees and providing a steady rate of return for shareholders for a company that is now worth 53 cents a share.
Actually, that was several months ago. The last time we checked, the stock was down to 33 cents.
Montana Power Company had 3,000 employees, and now a lot of those are laid off or transferred or working for different companies. It's had a devastating effect on Butte, and many of the retirees are wondering whether their pension benefits are secure. Their savings are certainly not secure, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
Rick Tim on top of that other one.
Jack Timmer, who worked for Montana Power for 27 years and retired 2 years ago, says he's lost $350,000 in his 401k. Timmer had to hang up his fishing pole and return to work. He now makes minimum wage driving and loading trucks for a tire company. And at the M&M, a 24-hour bar and restaurant that hasn't locked its doors since the 1880s, people are out for blood.
Either you guys got anything you want to say about Mr. Gannon and Touch American?
You can't say that. We'd be in big trouble, huh? They sold us out, is what they did. They sold the whole damn city out, it really.
The whole thing was wrong, what they did. People here are losing money, and they have no retirement now. They have nothing coming in. It's wrong. A company shouldn't be able to do that. I don't think anybody in Butte ever thought we'd never have Montana Power.
I'd have a hard time believing one guy could do that all by himself. It's a very big corporate decision, other people involved.
And some of those involved were right here in New York City at the huge Wall Street investment firm of Goldman Sachs. As financial advisors to Montana Power, Goldman Sachs executives made more than 100 trips to Montana, urging the company to get out of the utility business. And they made the crucial presentations to the board of directors.
Bob Gannon could have never sold this plan to the board. He didn't have enough credibility.
You think this was Goldman Sachs' idea?
I think Goldman Sachs was in it from the beginning. I think they pushed it. They drove the truck, so to speak.
Goldman Sachs declined to comment on this story, but according to its contract with Montana Power, Goldman Sachs was to be paid a flat fee as financial advisor. It was also to be paid a transaction fee or commission on every asset that was sold.
If Bob Gannon and the board decided that they didn't want to sell any of their assets, then Goldman Sachs didn't get any money.
Right.
So it was in Goldman Sachs' interest to have them sell off the assets.
Absolutely. The evidence is going to show that the weeks would go by, and then there would be memos in which Goldman Sachs would just keep pushing. This has to be done now. No better time than now. the market for